Hello and welcome to this homework help video. Today we're going to be discussing experimental probability. Okay, so if for a refresher, what is probability? Well, probability is our want or our desire over our total. Okay, if you want a full video, homework help video describing this, some are already on the channel. But, so with this knowledge, how does this relate to experimental probability? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. I'll show you through an example. Okay? So we have this question. Morning Donuts recently sold 19 donuts, 2 of which were glazed donuts. What is the experimental probability that the next donut sold will be a glazed donut? Okay, it's a good question. An excellent question, actually. So, let us make our probability fraction. So, we have P, which is the probability of glazed donut. So, what is our want? Our want is glazed donuts, right? Well, they sold 2 glazed donuts. And how many were there in total? Well, there were 19. Now, what's interesting about experimental probability is it's pretty much the same thing as just regular probability. It's just got a fancier name. So the probability, with that in mind, the probability that the next donut will be sold, you use you use the probability you found from the experiment you've already done, which was the 19 and 2, and that'll tell you what the probability that the next event will occur. So if before 2 out of 19 glazed donuts were sold, there is a, let me change color to emphasize this, there is a 2/19th chance that the next donut is a glazed one. Do you understand? Do you follow, perhaps? So we put 2/19. And would you look at that? We're right. So for this next question, a band sold out 3 of its 6 last shows. What is the experimental probability that the band's next show will be sold out? So let's make our probability fraction again. Probability that it's sold out is equal to, well, let's start with the total. How many total possible, what was the total amount of shows? Well, it was 6. What is our want? Our want is to be sold out, which happened 3 of those 6 times. Well, hopefully you know that 3 over 6 is actually equal to 1 over 2. Okay, so what is the probability that the band's next show will be sold out? We're going to look to the past of what previously happened, and we'll see that it's 1/2. That's the biggest difference between, excuse me, the biggest difference between the other probability questions we've looked at previously and these experimental probability questions. The experimental probability questions, you're looking to the past to find the next probability. Just the regular probability, like throwing a dice, or rolling a dice, or flipping a coin. That you're just looking. An event hasn't happened already, so that's the biggest difference. But the actual calculations, the actual quote unquote maths, is the exact same, and that is correct. Alright, let's quickly look at this one. Erica's playing darts. She hits she hit the bullseye on 3 out of her last 12 tosses. What's the probability, the experimental probability, that Erica will hit the bullseye on her next toss? Well, let's do this again. So, what's our want? We want a bullseye. So we have 3 bullseyes. What's the total? There were 12 in total. And you just have this fraction. And hopefully you see that 3 over 12 is equal to 1 over 4. And that is correct. Alright, this last question, I'd like you to pause the video, see if you can get it correct, and then unpause, and then compare it to the answer that we get here. Alright. So, Kaylee runs a stable that boards 20 horses, and 4 of them are bay. Not sure what bay horses means, but maybe you do. What is the experimental probability that the next horse that comes to board will be bay? Well, it doesn't matter that we don't know what bay means. We can still solve the problem. So what is the total? The total was 20 horses. What is our want? Our want is the horses will be bay, which is 4. Well, hopefully you see this is equal to 2 over 10, which is equal to 1/5. So let's put this in and see if we are correct. And we are. Well, I hope now you understand how experimental probability works and how it reflects just regular probability questions. Just remember, probability is want over desire.